Hi guys. Sorry it's been a long time since I updated. There has been a lot that's happened, so this is probably gonna be like a three-parter just to tell the whole story. This is gonna be my labor and delivery. And then sometime this week I will do Liam's 1 month update. I'm sorry I wasn't able to do a 1 week. I can explain that. I can explain everything. So, yeah. Most of you know if you already have me as a friend on Facebook or MySpace, which most of you do, I think, but some of you don't. We'll start off with my induction. I was induced on the 23rd of February. We went in the night before, and they, hooked me up and started monitoring me. I was like 1 centimeter when I got there, and like maybe 30% effaced. So I was not, prepared at all. They induced me because of hypertension for blood pressure. But anyway, at around 10 o'clock Tuesday night, they started me on Cytotec. And they did that every 4 hours until 5 o'clock in the morning. It softened me a little bit, but it didn't do much of anything. It had really no effect on me whatsoever. Then at 5 o'clock in the morning, on the 24th, I think, I'm sorry, I have all my stuff confused. Yeah, the 24th, 5 o'clock in the morning on the 24th, they started me on Pitocin. I was on Pitocin for 20 minutes, and the baby's heart rate started to drop. So they took me off. My doctor wasn't there yet, but the nurses opted to take me off. So they took me off. It did start making me contract. The contractions weren't bad. My back was just achy. It didn't really hurt at all. They checked me after that 20 minutes, and I had made no progress at all. The nurse took me off because she was getting worried. She's like, it's normal for babies to kind of react, but not this quick. So I'm gonna take you off until the doctor gets here. So I was off Pitocin until probably 8 or 9 o'clock. The doctor still hadn't come in yet, but the new nurse, decided to put me back on Pitocin. So she started the Pitocin, and I was on it for about an hour or two, and she checked me, and there was no change. So they upped it some more. Contractions got stronger, but they weren't really, bothering me. So I was on Pitocin for about 3 or 4 hours. Baby's heart started dropping again, so they turned it off, and he stopped reacting. The doctor came in, and she said they were going to take me off Pitocin for a little while, let him rest, let me rest. They checked me again, still no progress. So at this point it was probably around, I want to say it was probably around 4 or 5 or 5 or 6 o'clock at night. She decided to, because my cervix wasn't changing. I was contracting, and I was contracting harder, and it was starting to hurt, but it really wasn't bothering me. I'm sorry, this is real scrambled. There's so much I have to tell you guys, so like, I'm trying to recall everything. I didn't need an epidural yet or anything. That, and I don't think I could have gotten one anyway, because I was still stuck at 1 centimeter and maybe like 50% effaced. So my doctor decided what she was gonna do to get me to dilate was stick this catheter thing in up into my cervix, and at the top it balloons. It like goes out. So they stick it up in there and then they fill it up with water, and it like balloons out to try to get your cervix to stretch out. So they did that, and that was pretty uncomfortable because they ballooned it out to like 4 or 5 centimeters, and I was only at 1. And so she said, I was like, okay, so what are we waiting for? She goes, for it to fall out. So, and I think she turned the Pitocin drip back on. So they turned the Pitocin back on, I think. And then his heart started to drop after like an hour. She turned it back off. She's like, okay, no more Pitocin. We can't do Pitocin anymore, so we're gonna keep the catheter in, and either way you're gonna have a baby in the next 24 hours. So basically, either I dilate on my own, or it was gonna end in a C-section. So they took off the Pitocin, and left the catheter in, and for the rest of the night I was miserable. The contractions were getting stronger, and the catheter thing that they put up into my cervix was making me miserable. It was so uncomfortable and just horrible. So they gave me Demerol for pain once or twice, and Demerol lasts for maybe 10 minutes and then it goes away. So I wasn't in horrible pain, but I was just very uncomfortable and tired and exhausted and just so ready to have him, and it was just not going as planned. At around, I want to say, so all night I was up and down going to the bathroom and getting back in bed, and you know, my family never left. Everybody stayed. My mom, my dad, my sister-in-law, my best friend, my husband, I mean, everyone. My mother-in-law, everyone stayed. Only 2 people were allowed in the room at a time, so they would take turns sitting in the room with me, and then the rest would go out in the waiting room, and it was wonderful. Nobody ever left. So finally I got up. I don't know exactly what time. I got up and the catheter fell out. So my husband got up and got the nurse, and she checked me, and I was 4 centimeters. But all throughout the night, the baby's heart rate kept dropping. Like, all throughout the night. They kept having to come in there and turn me and fix me this way and fix me that way and readjust me. And the contractions got more and more intense throughout the night. And then the baby was becoming very intolerable of labor. After the catheter fell out, the doctor came in. She, at that point, decided to break my water. And at this point, I'm in a fair amount of pain. I'm not screaming in pain, but the pain that I was experiencing was getting pretty bad. The contractions were becoming pretty painful. But she came in, and actually I'm going to start part 2. So I'll be back. Sorry this is so scrambled, guys. There's so much that I have to tell you that it's like not going to make any sense. So I'll be back.